Hi guys, Iris West Allen here, and today I'm going to be doing a review for the brand new Flash movie. Okay, only in my dreams am I married to the Flash, but a girl can dream, can't she? But on a serious note, it is Lady Otaku, and today I will be doing a movie review for the 2023 Flash movie. I have always been a huge fan of The Flash. He is my favorite superhero without a doubt. And I remember when the TV show came out on the CW, and you better believe I watched that until it got bad, which was at season 6 for me. So I absolutely love that show and love seeing Flash on the screen. And so when I found out that they were making a Flash movie years ago, I was super hyped for this. And then I thought that they were going to cast Grant Gustin as the Flash. Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash in the CW show. But then I found out that it was going to be Ezra Miller. And, after a little bit of knowing this, I accepted it. I mean, there's not much else I could do, right? But anyway, I had always loved Ezra Miller. And I remember seeing him in things like The Wallflower and also in We Need to Talk About Kevin. I absolutely love that movie. And then he became one of the world's most problematic actors. And I'm not going to get into the things that he has done. Like, you guys can just Google that if you don't know what I'm talking about. But even so, going into this movie, I was totally able to separate the actor from the performance. And with that said, I absolutely loved his performance. He killed it. You can tell that he was criminally excited.
I am criminally excited.
So the plot of the movie is loosely based off of the Flashpoint storyline from the Flash comics. And that's where the Flash travels back in time to try to prevent his mom's murder. But by doing this, he completely messes up the timeline and the world is no longer the same as he remembers it. So I have been super excited for this movie to come out. I wasn't quite sure how it would turn out considering it was supposed to come out years ago, but they have had so many issues and so many rewrites that it is just now being released. And now there are things that I loved about this movie, but there are also things that I did not like. And overall, I would say that this movie was good. I don't think that it was great, like a lot of people are saying. They're saying that this is the best superhero movie ever made, and I disagree. But I'll let you guys know why after I tell you about the things that I did like in this movie. I love seeing the Flash wear his new suit where it turned his lightning yellow, opposed to originally when we saw this version of the Flash, his lightning was blue, which is the color of the Speed Force. But with this new suit, it diffuses the energy. I believe that is exactly what's going on there. And it makes it yellow. And that's the lightning that I'm used to when seeing the Flash. So I really love seeing that on screen. I love seeing both versions of the Flash on the screen at the same time. We have the Flash that we know from the Justice League, and then we have this new Barry Allen from this alternate timeline. And I think that Ezra Miller did a fantastic job at portraying both of these characters. When I was watching them, it didn't feel like I was watching Ezra Miller play two different parts. It seemed like there were two completely different people on the screen, and I loved it. I love seeing Ben Affleck come back to play Batman. I wish that he had more screen time, but it was still nice to see him. And I also really liked seeing Michael Keaton. I do remember seeing him in Batman Returns, and I really like that. But I don't think that I'm as nostalgic as a lot of other people will be when they see him in this movie. I think that Michael Keaton did a great job at reprising his role as Batman. I mean, the man is 71 years old, and he didn't miss a beat in this movie. Fantastic job. So Superman isn't in this movie because they fired Henry Cavill. And instead, we have Supergirl, who's played by Sasha Calle.
It's not Clark.
My name is Kara.
Which I absolutely love her in this performance. I really like the change that they did. I think that it made for a more interesting story. I really love this version of Supergirl. She was very dark and serious, and I really loved everything about her, honestly, opposed to the Supergirl that I am familiar with, which is just a very bubbly and just I don't know, preppy Supergirl. Um so it was very refreshing to see this. I wish the whole tone of the movie had been more like her. But I guess that's asking for like a Man of Steel type of movie. And you know what? I wish that it was more like that. So there was a lot of humor in this movie, and I would say that most of it landed for me, but then there were also times where it was just taking me out of the movie. I wanted a more compelling, serious tone, but this was making it more of a lighter movie. And I understand why the humor was the way that it was, and it was coming from the younger alternate version of Barry. And that is because he hasn't had the trauma of losing his parents like our Barry has. So without that, he's a lot more carefree and nonchalant. But still and yet, it made the movie less compelling for me. Now I'm going to get into some things that I did not like about this movie. And the first thing is going to be the way the Flash looks when he runs. He looks absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand why he runs the way that he does. And the second thing is going to be the CGI in this movie. The CGI is absolutely atrocious at times. Like, it is so ridiculous. I do not understand why they greenlit it. There's this scene in the beginning, this big action scene, and you guys, like, it looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. Like, this movie was, I think, like 300 and something million to make, and they couldn't do better than that. I do not understand it. I remember the scene, the slow-mo scene in X-Men Days of Future Past with Quicksilver, and that looked great to me. And that movie was made years ago. Years. So I do not understand why this movie looks so bad when it comes to the CGI. Okay, moving along from that, like I've said before, The Flash is my favorite superhero, so it was amazing to finally see him in his own movie on the big screen when we've seen so many other characters have their own solo movies. It didn't really seem like it was a Flash movie. It seemed like it was a Justice League-esque type of movie because there were so many other superheroes involved in this movie, and we didn't ever get to see like an origin story for the Flash and just him being in Central City, learning how to use his powers and things like that. And though there are moments with the other Barry from the other timeline who gets powers, and our Barry is trying to show him the ropes of how to use his powers, and that's all great, but it's still not the same. And so I'm a little bit sad that we never really got that. So I definitely think that this movie is worth seeing if you are a fan of superhero movies. I do think that it is one of the better ones. I just think that it's could have been better, if that makes sense. But now I'm going to get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, or if you don't want to get any spoilers, please just stop the video now, but don't forget to like. And after you do see the movie, please come back and watch the rest of this video. So one of my favorite things about the Flash as a character is the fact that he is always derping up the timeline, and he did not disappoint in this movie. So he goes back to the past to try to prevent his mom's murder, but instead he goes to a completely different timeline. So when he saves this Nora Allen, he's not saving his Nora Allen, he's saving this alternate Barry Allen's mom. And so in this timeline, he was never even supposed to get powers. As we see that during the time that our Flash gets struck by lightning, this Flash in the alternate timeline is getting ready to go on a date with Iris. So he interferes with that, not realizing that this Barry isn't supposed to get powers. And he takes him to the lab to get struck by lightning. And then, he loses his powers in the process, but the alternate Barry gains powers. And so he just started a whole chain of events that was never supposed to occur in the first place. I like how we find out that Zod intercepted Kal-El's pod when he was on his way to Earth from Krypton as an infant, and he tried to extract the codex from him. But by doing so, he killed him and found out that he did not have the codex. Instead, it was Kara Zor-El who is now on Earth, and Zod is looking for her. And so that was a cool change in my mind. There was a point where all of the universes were colliding in on themselves and collapsing, and we got to see different versions of Superman. And one of those versions turned out to be none other than Nicolas Cage. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, can I love this guy anymore? Like, he is just so ridiculous. I also really like that we find out that our Flash was at Ground Zero when Zod attacked Metropolis, and he was donned in his homemade Flash suit because he was still brand new to his powers, and he actually ended up saving a little kid. He couldn't save the kid's dad, but he saved the little kid. So I thought that that was super cool. So I really liked how this movie ended, where it wasn't a happy ending, where he wasn't able to save his mom, because it was a fixed point in time, a canon event where she had to die and where this Earth had to be destroyed. So I like that they did that, because life isn't always happy, there are some really fucked up moments in it. And also I liked at the very end that we now have a new Batman in the Flash's timeline. We have George Clooney, and that was just icing on the cake. What the hell? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys like and subscribe if you are interested in more of my content. And I will see you guys in the next video.